So the second award goes to Dr. Julie Stopar. And so Dr. Stopar is a staff scientist at the Lunar and Planetary Institute, where she leads research on lunar geology and surface evolution. Dr. Stopar researches lunar volcanic deposits, impact melt deposits, impact craters, regolith, and low temperature interactions between minerals and liquid water in the inner solar system. She received a BS in geological science from the University of Michigan, an MS in geological science from the University of Hawaii, and her PhD in geological sciences from Arizona State University. She is a valued member of 2 SSERVI teams and is a current science lead for LPI's Regional Planetary Image Facility. As part of the coordination team for LPI's summer intern program, she is dedicated to training future planetary scientists and supervises undergraduate research projects. Dr. Stopar has been a part of the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter team since 2007, contributing to instrument operations and science. She is a co-investigator for the LRO camera team and a mini RF team member. She is active in several mission concepts for lunar exploration and has contributed to designs for a long-range rover, a robotic sample return, and small sat lander. Dr. Stopar also provides service to the science community as vice chair of the Mapping and Planetary Spatial Infrastructure Team, MAPSIT, and through several lunar exploration analysis group specific action teams that provided a roadmap for science-driven exploration of the moon. She co-developed the LPI Lunar South Pole Atlas and co-organized and led the 2017 LPI League Back to the Moon workshop in support of the framework for upcoming lunar human robotic exploration programs. So with that, I'd like to welcome Dr. Stopar to come up as well. Congratulations. So glad you could be here. So you get to, well, we need to talk to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this. This is really a great honor, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm super excited for just all this recognition and for us all being here together today to celebrate. I think this is wonderful. I guess I'll start with some thank yous. Oh, first, I want to thank Carrie for her wonderful talk, because she said a lot of the things that I think a lot of us need to hear and are hoping to hear. And just hearing those paths, and I totally echo what you're saying about like our paths aren't always going to be the same. Mine's been a little bit wandering at times, and so I think this is a really good example of, you know, you can still be very successful and included in this community even if your path is a little bit different. Yeah, so with that, I'll like to thank my family particularly for so many times early in my life, inspiring science and math interest, and giving me the freedom to pursue what I'm interested in. And even though I didn't always know what that was, they were very supportive. I'd also like to thank my 2 family members who are here today somewhere in the building. You've probably seen them wandering around. My husband, Sam, and my little guy, Kyle. So thank you for coming and supporting me. I'd also like to thank some of my family who can't be here or aren't here. You've done so much for me, and I just wanted to thank you, especially my parents, of course. And as I said, my path has been a little bit wandering at times. So I have had a lot of advisors and teachers and professors over the years who have all given me something, which I hope I carry forward. So I have a long list of colleagues and many of you all here today that I would also like to thank for your roles, both big and small, your guidance, the opportunities you've given me, and friendship too. And I have a rather short list here, but there are so many of you, and I just hope you all know who you are, and I thank you. And some of you have been more of a mentor for me and an advocate in many different ways. And, many times I might not even realize what you were doing at the time. So I would like to thank you. And if that is the case, and you know who you are, I hope. Carrie mentioned the LRO team, and they have been a wonderful team. It's been a really amazing time to work with them every single day. And I love coming to work and know that I'll be working with the LRO team. There's the scientists on the team and the engineers are so knowledgeable, and everyone is so supportive of everyone else. I think they're a really great example of what mission teams can be and how they can contribute to our community. And then in the spirit of the award, I didn't know Dr. Susan Niebur personally, but I heard very good things about her. I saw what she was doing in the community, and I was still kind of on my wandering path at the time. So I wasn't involved, but there were so many people who put in effort to make these kinds of opportunities possible for us early career folks, and I really appreciate that. And I know that was a lot of behind the scenes and a lot of in the scenes and a lot of hard times as well. And so, of course, I'd also like to thank the people who nominated me. I don't know who you are, but thank you. This is really meaningful for me, so I appreciate that. And then more generally, I'd like to thank NESF and SSERVI because, our work is so inspiring. And so I like to be part of that inspiration, but I also really get a lot of inspiration back from what everyone here is doing. And then just thank this community because I think we've all heard it a couple of times. It's a very supportive and welcoming community. And particularly in the last 3 years, I really appreciate those of you who understood how rough they have been and have been very supportive and encouraging through that time. And so with that, in the spirit of this award, I thought I would talk a little bit about inspirations. So first of all, happy Moon Landing Day, July 20th, 1969, an amazing day when people set foot on another world we can explore. Of course, I kind of came on the scene long after that excitement had faded a little bit, but it was still very inspiring even just to read about it. Some of my childhood inspirations were things like the space shuttle launches and Kennedy Space Center, of course. Looking back at that photo, remember that. Pictures from Voyager's Grand Tour were just very, it makes you realize there are other worlds to explore. In my early grad school days, the MERs, Mars Exploration Rovers, were just getting started. Cassini as well. And again, just those images and seeing all these different places that we could go and explore was really inspiring. So once I finally got an opportunity to work with the LRO team, it was an amazing opportunity. And I'm so glad I said yes to that opportunity. Didn't know what I was in for at the time. But it has been basically the foundation of my lunar career, my planetary career up to this point. And I know there's so much more to come, and I hope we'll all be working together. So I thought I would talk a little bit more about LRO since it was such a part of my life so far. I joined the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter camera team at Arizona State University about 15, maybe it's actually 16 years now, but I don't want to admit that. But at the time that opportunity came up, it was intended to be a 1-year nominal exploration mission and then a relatively short science mission after that. And here we are still today, just making amazing discoveries and collecting all this amazing data that we are still using and building upon. That was really my first chance to be part of a large and cohesive team like that. And so that was a really fundamental experience for me to have. And I did a lot of new things that I never really thought about doing, never dreamed I'd be doing, particularly actually going in and commanding an instrument that was in space and telling it what to do that day. And I never at all conceived that I would be responsible for the safety and health of an instrument floating in space. So that was a really life-changing opportunity for me. And it was really inspiring. And so I think that was kind of the moment when I realized that this was where my passion would be. And I went to Mark Robinson, Dr. Mark Robinson at ASU, and I convinced him to do a little PhD advising for me. So here I am. Thanks, Mark. Oh, that's not a touch screen. And then, so speaking of inspiration, that was really the first time since Apollo, I think, for many of us to really see these detailed images of another world. And a lot like the Earthrise image was for the previous generations. This was, seeing these images coming back from LROC really made this, the moon, a surface and place we can explore. And that's, I think, besides all the really great data, that is one of LRO's major legacies. And then, of course, being the first person to see a lot of these images when they would come down, along with Mark, sometimes we'd sit there late at night and just look at the images. And there was one day we were sitting there and it was like, oh, what is this? And go get Mark. And Mark was excited because it was something he knew was just going to be amazing when it came down. And of course it was. So it turned out to be this enormous impact melt flow. And we were just staring at it for a while, just like so amazed that this is the moon. And like, how can this be the moon? I don't know. What does this mean? So those kinds of experiences, they really built my curiosity for the moon as a geological object, but also to ask questions like about what is possible, what are the limits of what is possible? Can you have impact melting in these small craters? Where is the water and can we actually use it? And of course, there are things like silicic volcanism. How does that even occur? I don't know, but these are things we should be asking and finding out. There's also other opportunities on the moon for other kinds of weird volcanism that might be young, but maybe it's some other geologic process. But these are the kinds of things that has just really inspired me to keep at it and keep working. And besides the fact that coming to work is really, really nice because we have a very nice and supportive community. So I've really enjoyed my time as part of the lunar science exploration community. Everyone is so enthusiastic and positive. And that long list of past awardees, many of them are my colleagues and friends. And I went back in preparation for this talk and listened to a lot of their talks. And they said a lot of great advice there, and I would rather not just repeat it because I think they said it very well in their own talks, but it's really useful advice. And so I really appreciate all the effort everyone has put into these awards. And then I'd also like to thank, our faculty members and mentors and colleagues that I've worked with, but actually the students as well. And Carrie also said that the students are just amazing. So one of the things that I've been fortunate enough to be involved in is the Lunar and Planetary Institute's intern program. I came on as a science coordinator in 2019, and I'm still working in that position today. I've also had the opportunity to advise several students and early career people on different research projects. And so in the spirit of this award, that has been really amazing because I really enjoyed that opportunity to help inspire and mentor the next generation. But also I received a lot of inspiration from them as well in turn, especially because they're just so dedicated and persistent and they have so much energy. And they love coming to learn what our careers are about. And it's been especially wonderful in the last 3 years because they're so dedicated and it's wonderful. So what's next for me and what's next for our community? I think, as we all know, we're hoping to get back to the surface in a number of different ways. A human lunar return, a number of CLIPS landers and instruments, a long-lived rover, perhaps. So one of the projects that I've been happy to work on is a league MapSit analysis group, SAT, which was called the Lunar Critical Data Project, Data Products, yeah, acronyms. And then following up that work with the MapSit age analysis group and the USGS astrogeology group. It's been really interesting to look into what kinds of data we are still missing in order to get us back to the surface, and also to promote this idea of interoperable and analysis ready data now that we're right at the horizon of all of these new activities that are upcoming. Next lunar orbiter, yeah, I say yes, yes, yes. And so I was really proud to be part of the League ClockSat report, which outlined the rationale for that, as well as some ideas of what we critically need in lunar orbit, and of course, lunar science. I've been working at the Lunar and Planetary Institute since 2016, and I had the opportunity to work with a number of different researchers, both there and at other institutions, particularly studying different science projects and research projects. And I love working with all of my collaborators there. I'm also honored to be part of several SSERVI teams and having the opportunity to continue to explore my areas of interest and those passions that I was talking about. And also continuing to work with the LRO team, LROC and mini-RF teams in particular. And I think we still have lots left to do with LRO as well. And so to kind of wrap up here, what is next? I hope we're getting back to the surface, and I hope we're going to be all going together, and we're going to make a wonderful new legacy for the future. And this is our opportunity to do that. And so in the spirit of this award, think about how we can use this time to inspire the next generation, as well as what kind of legacy we want to leave for them. With that, I'll say thank you.